Billy Brumner in the 7th minute. Phillips and Masters made a poor clearance and Andy Kowalski volleyed a shot which gave Shaw no chance at all. City answered back in the 25th minute from one of their 13 corners. Pritchard set up loan signing Kenny Stroud, who's famous for his long shots, on the edge of the box, a real banana. He didn't let the crowd down. So it was all tied up at half-time. There was a noticeable absence of spectators in the Dolman stand, which had started to fill up over recent weeks. And when Lenny Moss was put clear following a terrible clearance by Halliday, John Shaw was forced to pull off what is now called a professional foul. Coming quickly off the line, he rugby tackled Moss, who'd beaten him and would have had the simple task of popping the ball into an empty net. But it ended with a booking and moans from Doncaster fans they'd been robbed. The 68th minute, the visitors can feel justice was done when Miller broke into the box. Moss headed at goal, Shaw saved, but the ball was eventually tapped home by the hovering Dave Howell. John Economou was brought on shortly after, and he set up a Paul Williams shot which was luckily cleared from the line. City, who had 75% of the play, were unlucky minutes later when Riley's chest shot just failed to cross the line. And in dying moments, expectant father Glenn Riley's centre was well met by Williams, only to see it graze the top of the crossbar. The final score, City 1, Doncaster 2. City unlucky not to rescue a draw. Well, Bristol City pressured the amateurs of Corinthian Casuals into submission at Ashton Gate with a 4-goal bonanza. It took 7 minutes for the first. Rich's initial hit the woodwork. Riley made no mistake. Next, Act 1 of the Pritchard Act. The first of his 3 goals came when Kerr's shot found Casuals keeper Chris Chapman all thumbs and no fingers. Pritchard charges in. It's in the back of the net. 2-0 in the 20th minute. Well, the former Swindon player should have snapped up his second when Riley sent him away behind the Casuals' defence. But just as he reaches the edge of the box, loses control. And his shot was brilliantly stopped by a press photographer. Into the second half, and Pritchard made amends for that miss in the 46th minute when his left foot shot beat Chapman. Well, in the one-sided match, manager Terry Cooper must have been concerned by the number of misses involving his strikers, particularly with important league and cup matches coming up. This a classic, best shown, then forgotten. But we won't forget Pritchard's hat-trick. An awful blunder by Casual's defence, bit casual, found the persistent Pritchard walking the ball into an empty net. So the final score, Bristol City 4, Corinthian Casuals 0. The man of the night, undoubtedly Welsh winger Howard Pritchard, enjoying his first hat-trick for the Robins. Well, from one of the early corners, City were lucky when the referee ruled that John Clayton was offside following a rifled shot from Steve Spooner. That happened in the 18th minute. And City were fortunate minutes later when a tremendous shot from Gary Bellamy cannoned off the City crossbar with John Shaw well beaten. But as half-time came and went under the bowlers, it was City to exert all the pressure. In the 53rd minute, Tom Ritchie was brought down by a clumsy Stimson tackle, which referee Danny Vickers of Ilford had no hesitation in pointing at the spot. Tom Ritchie decided to take the penalty. Chesterfield's keeper Jim Brown had no chance. In the gloom, City went 2-0 ahead when Stephen's centre was headed home by Howard Pritchard on the near post. And now it's woodwork time again. This time John Kerr slammed a shot against the angle, only to see it cannon over the top. And seconds later, Howard Pritchard vibrates the crossbar with a scorching shot. So City eventually the winners by 2-0. That win puts them in 4th place today. Not bad for a team who were missing 5 first-choice players. And they were greeted by smoke bombs, dozens of toilet rolls and tremendous roars, even a supporter who travelled 5,000 miles from Colombia to watch Bristol Rovers. He and many other fans in blue must have held their breath when City's Howard Pritchard shot over the top after an early breakaway. City's veteran keeper John Shaw showed his worth, saving twice from a Stevens header. and the stalemate continued to half-time, with both teams trying to feed off mistakes rather than constructive play. But early in the second half, Stevens rose brilliantly to a Holloway free kick, and the Rovers fans went into a frenzy. Well, with 20 minutes to go, Cooper came on and told Pritchard to go from the wing into the centre, and it certainly paid dividends. From the very first move, Pritchard, always dangerous when hanging around the penalty area, had his 5-yard shot bravely blocked by Phil Kite. For a while it looked as if it was to be Rovers' match. But then Tom Ritchie pulled off a brilliant solo performance. City's skipper found himself a set of teenager legs again, beat 2 men and hit a low shot into the far corner of the net. 1-1, anyone's game. Well, Bristol City kept coming forward. Coming up now, a precision pass from Cooper and persistent play from Wiley set up the winner, with 22-year-old university student Martin Hurst getting his geography right and finding the net. 90 seconds later, the whistle sounded for the last time, and the Bristol City team went to the Muller Road end to thank their supporters. And for 39-year-old Terry Cooper, the oldest player in the Football League, a personal triumph on a day which could have marked his last ever appearance in the FA Cup.
Thanks to a noisy contingent of Bristol fans, Notts welcomed one of their biggest crowds of the season. They were hardly installed when City snatched a dramatic lead. Howard Pritchard made the goal with this twisting run, and Alan Crawford had all the time and space in the world. Were we to see another David and Goliath performance to rank along with Bournemouth's? Well, had this shell from Pritchard swerved a fraction to the right, the game might well have been beyond recall. As it was, referee Norman Glover helped Notts back into the game. Harcourt seemed to overreact to Bruce Halliday's challenge, but Mr. Glover saw it differently. Christie said thank you very much, and 1 each it was. Bristol's worst period followed. Chidozie tormented their left side in the second half. And when John Shaw in goal made a mess of this save, Christie put the First Division side in control. After that, it was controversy all the way. City's equaliser arrived with McDonough, the Notts goalkeeper, semi-conscious on the ground. Notts didn't even bother to clear the danger, and Tom Ritchie was the only man to play on. There had been no whistle, and Bristol, astonishingly, were back in the match. McDonough was still bleeding from a head wound which needed several stitches, and County's manager, Jimmy Cyril, kept his thoughts to himself. Referee Glover's most eccentric decision was to come. Ritchie was poised to shoot City into the 4th round when McDonough all but decapitated him. What do you have to do to win a penalty? Well, Terry Cooper has to lift them again at Ashton Gate tomorrow night, with the dubious reward of Huddersfield in the next round. It should be quite a replay.
Which is a shame, really, because for large parts of the game, City were on top. On this occasion, a header from Crawford just touched over. The game was watched by 16,000 fans, the largest at Ashton Gate in 2 years. County's first goal came after half-time, scored by central defender Brian Kilcline. Well, now the offside controversy. Look at number 7, Howard Pritchard. What do you think? Well, let's see that incident again. Now look for his shirt being pulled. Well, that goal was not to be. Not denying County's speed in attack, City did have their lucky moments. John Shaw was kept busy keeping the ball out of the net 3 times here. Well, City's geography student Martin Hurst, complete with bandage and stitches in a head wound, proved he has a great future, with McDonough pulling off a diving save. Well, City's resistance was shattered in the 73rd minute when Trevor Christie made a precision pass to McCulloch, who did well to find the net. Well, a final word on referee Mr. Borden. It's a question. How do you make 16,000 City fans laugh when trailing by 2 goals in a cup match? The answer, like this. Well, the game started at a ferocious pace with Howard Pritchard streaking down the left in one of the first moves, setting up a perfect cross to the far post. And it was Riley's header, which was handled by Arkwright. City's captain Tom Ritchie used the woodwork to score his 9th goal of the season. Well, Wrexham were unlucky not to have equalised midway through the half when a move which started from a corner resulted in everyone being beaten except for City's defender Paul Stevens, who stuck a vital foot out and put the ball over the bar. Well, there were no further scores by half-time, and when the second half restarted, Wrexham put the City goal under siege. Jim Steele, the player who turned down a 10,000 move you recall to Bristol Rovers, should have scored. Instead, he hit a weak shot at Shaw, who managed to block the ball. Well, now the goal which had Crawford and Pritchard arguing all weekend. Cooper with the cross, Riley's header off the bar. Now, was it Crawford or Pritchard who put it home? Well, if you're not sure, and I'm still not, having seen it about 30 times today, we'll show you that a little later on. Now, substitute Cooper, with number 12 on his back, showed how persistency can pay off. Despite losing the ball, a lucky rebound found Glyn Riley clear, who couldn't really react quick enough. Wrexham managed to get a goal back when Phillips and Masters was adjudged to have pushed Steele in the box. Referee points to the spot, which left Dave Gregory to come up and make no mistake. 60 seconds later, the final whistle sounded, and with promotion rivals Reading losing and Blackpool and Peterborough drawing, City are now in 6th place with games in hand. It was well gathered by late replacement goalkeeper Ian Edwards in his first league game, having signed on a month's loan from Leicester last weekend. After half-time, Edwards was in action again when Pritchard found space, but his bravery won the day. Soon after that scare, Swindon took the lead. It started from the left with Emmanuel, and just watch the way Jimmy Quinn wins, controls and shoots home his 11th goal of the season. Still trailing, Cooper replaced Hurst, and in almost his first tackle downed Gary Nelson. But despite pleas from both players, referee Mr. Colin Downey placed Bristol City's player-manager in his book, one of 4 names he took during the game. Coming up now, one of the best saves seen in the West Country this season. Pritchard's deflected header shows that 19-year-old Ian Edwards has a tremendous future in front of him. A brilliant save. Even Tom Ritchie had to congratulate him. Up the other end, Shaw had his share of luck, Hockaday's shot being saved at point-blank range. Moments later, Nelson should have scored. Swindon's number 10 did all the hard work, but failed to find the empty corner of the net. City's equaliser came from a harmless Swindon move. John Shaw took advantage of a fast clearance upfield. It split the Swindon defence, and Glyn Riley did well to control the ball and blast a running shot past the Swindon goalkeeper. So that was the final score, with an extremely well-behaved crowd going home, pretty happy with the overall result, which on the night was about fair. Rain-soaked crowd were on their feet in the 4th minute when Bristol City showed how easy it was to penetrate Sperry defence. A cleverly worked move on the right ended with a stinging shot from Glyn Riley. It was well saved by John Butcher, who then bravely blocked Pritchard's second attempt. It needed a goal to really bring the game alive, and it came 4 minutes from half-time, when City's captain Tom Ritchie was flattened by Paul Hilton. Ritchie scored from the spot, his 10th goal of the season, and he now joins 3 other teammates who have goals in double figures this season. Moving on to the second half, and 4 goals in 14 minutes. Berry's equaliser came from a Pashley centre, which Hilton headed home to make amends for his first half penalty. Just 60 seconds later, City took the lead again, this time from a Crawford centre, which was nodded home by, that's it, Glyn Riley. And just a couple of minutes later, Bury drew level again themselves. Terry Park's centre found Joe Jacob volleying home from close range. City's winner came after Riley was obstructed by Bramhall. Tom Ritchie stepped up and his quick thinking found Crawford free in the box. He managed to control the ball and slot it past the helpless goalkeeper. City could have gone still further ahead when Crawford only had the goalkeeper to beat. But Butcher, as you'll see, made mincemeat of that attack. And with seconds to go, Bramhall's header was struck home by Madden. who couldn't believe his luck when given offside. So the final score, City 3, Bury 2. The Red Robins now move into third place in the 4th Division. It was one of many missed chances for Bristol City, with all strikers having to put their heads in their hands. Howard Pritchard was the first. Just a few moments later, Pritchard should have made it 2-0. Then it was the turn of Alan Crawford to shower Rose in the Hereford goal with paint chippings. Rose must have thought this was his lucky day. Adding to the first half goal-mouth melees was Glyn Riley. But that sort of pressure just had to result in a goal. Strangely, it came from a difficult move. Pritchard bravely won the ball and sent a beautiful cross to Alan Crawford on the far post, who found the corner of the net. Thus ended the first half, City ahead by that single goal just 4 minutes from the whistle. Well, Hereford should have tied it up when Ollie Kearns beat his man, only to see his shot cannon off the fortuitous kneecap of John Shaw. Ritchie answered back with a shot which hit Rose. I don't think he saw it, and when Riley kept the ball in play, was he tripped? Should there have been a penalty? A few moments later, Kenny Stroud showed some nifty footwork to make an opening, but saw his shot blocked. And Hereford could not be blamed if they say they were robbed of a late penalty. Kearns is clearly tripped by Phillips and Masters, but play on, said Mr. Clive Thomas. Kevin Rose rose to all of 8 feet to tip a Crawford pile driver over the bar. That's one of the best saves seen at Ashton Gate this season. So thus ended an exciting match, perhaps the last to be refereed by Clive Thomas before retirement, with City affirming themselves promotion candidates.
City manager Terry Cooper said this afternoon it was just one of those nights when City dominated the play but simply couldn't score. In this attack it was centre forward Rob Newman whose shot was deflected off for a corner. Blackpool took the lead after 32 minutes, Steve Hetzke scoring with a cracking drive from a 20-yard free kick. That goal certainly made the long journey worthwhile for the Blackpool fans. But the Ashton Gate regulars couldn't believe City's missed chances. Kenny Stroud is the unlucky City player whose shot hit the post and goalkeeper Gary Pearce. And the grounded goalkeeper was forced to punch the ball away after being injured in that collision with Tom Ritchie. Pearce was in action again when he punched out a drive from Ritchie for another of City's 14 corners. A poor back pass put Howard Pritchard away for a dangerous attack, but centre forward Newman just couldn't get a touch to the cross. Blackpool's goal certainly led a charmed life. By now, manager Cooper, watching from the substitutes bench, thought his side would never score. He came on in the place of Martin Hurst for the last 25 minutes. And it was from Cooper's corner that City finally equalised. It's Stroud who got in the vital shot to give City a valuable point. But Cooper says he's still hoping to make one good signing to strengthen the side to stay in the promotion race.
Well, the oldest man in the Football League, City's player-manager Terry Cooper, recalled himself for this one after his side's recent slide, and soon City were stretching the Aldershot defence. It was Pritchard's good deep centre coming up now, which stretched Aldershot. Riley is adjudged to have been pushed there, so the referee gives a penalty kick after 20 minutes. And the experienced Tom Ritchie from City's famous First Division days knocked home his 6th penalty of the season. The City crowd celebrated first blow towards taking Aldershot's place in that promotion bracket, and the City players could sense they could end a spell of 3 defeats and a draw. Ritchie plays a key part now in his second goal. Hurst long centre, Ritchie carefully places that down, and Riley knocks it home. City's crowd of 6,800, 600 fewer than for their previous home match, were glad they hadn't stayed away. Riley thanks Ritchie for his expert assist, and Ritchie has a word with young Hurst for his good centre. But slack marking by City now, towards the end of the first half, let Aldershot back in, and Les Lawrence squeezes home a good centre there. So the small group of fans who have come all the way from Hampshire, they at last have something to celebrate. In the second half, moments of Terry Cooper's vintage skills there. And Terry's at it again, age 39. The leg's not so quick, but the old gum is still there, all the old shrewdness, and it's Pritchard who's nearly in for another one. But Aldershot were to become the better side in the second half. City just managed to hold on to their win, but could need to tighten that defence this weekend when they go up to play the 4th Division leaders York City away.
To the Ashton Gate pitch, I suspect most eyes were on their new £10,000 signing, Trevor Morgan. It was his first appearance at home, and he was not to let the fans down. Darlington should have taken an early lead. McLean's pass to Gilbert, who set up Ken Todd, should have found the back of the net. But Morgan soon started, and he certainly showed why he was Bournemouth's top scorer. A good through ball to Stevens. They managed to get it back to Morgan, who just fails to get leather on the ball. But moments later, Morgan popped up on the left wing. He's a committed sort of player, eventually winning the ball. He looks up and almost catches Barber napping on his line. Yes, it's Morgan again, certain to be a City favourite soon. Worked well with Riley and new signing Curl. Riley must be kicking himself today for missing that one. Keith Curl's curling centre found Morgan in the box. Darlington's keeper Barber pulls off a good save. And it was to be Barber's first half, because just seconds later, Phillips and Masters' header was saved at point-blank range. Good little chip into the box. Up goes Phillips and Masters, and into Barber's hands. We'll move into the second half now, and how Morgan didn't score from his new man. Free kick is unbelievable, and with Barber enjoying that sort of luck, City must have been wondering would they ever score. Well, Shaw showed that he was on good form too up the other end. They say keeping is 90% luck, 10% skill, with John Shaw enjoying 11% skill there. Patience is a virtue. City stuck to their guns, and the new attacking duo of Curl and Morgan paid off 6 minutes from time. And certainly get the nickname Captain Morgan of the Robins, get the association. Morgan put the ball home. So the final score, Bristol City 1, Darlington 0. Well, the decision to play geography student Martin Hurst with suspended Keith Curl certainly paid dividends, because it livened up the midfield. Harold Pritchard nearly added to his 6-goal tally with a 40-yard left-foot shot. Well, at the other end, City's goalkeeper John Shaw was tested by a hanging ball under his crossbar. Referee Mr. Alan Seville ruled that Hilditch had fouled him. And Shaw was soon to be busy again when Hutchinson shrugged off City's defence before a powerful shot. So no goals by half-time, and the crowd unhappy with referee Mr. Seville, who didn't allow much advantage play. 4 minutes into the second half, a bad defensive slip by Rob Newman allowed Mark Hilditch to nip behind the defence and lay an easy ball back to Bobby Hutchinson, who hammered it home. There then followed a whole series of controversial decisions which upset the home crowd. Newman's free kick resulted in a penalty claim when Riley was clearly elbowed in the penalty area. The referee was unmoved. That prompted the appearance of super sub Cooper. He came on for Stroud, and with half an hour to go, it was going to be his influence if City were to rescue points. Then followed another penalty claim. Was Pritchard tripped inside or outside? And from the free kick, was Tom Ritchie fouled? Should that have been a third penalty? Well, justice was done minutes from time. Cooper thrust down the left wing, and Trevor Morgan drew the defence brilliantly before shooting home a quite excellent goal. A 1-1 draw. City have only taken 5 points from their last 3 home matches. Valuable promotion points missing. The first goal came in the 26th minute when Mickey Cook elbowed Glyn Riley off the ball. And there was the elbow. The referee, Mr. Brazier, pointed immediately to the spot. While poor Alex Lockhart administered running repairs on the sideline, It was City skipper Tom Ritchie who stepped up and sent Alec Chamberlain the wrong way. Well, City opened the second half with some of the best soccer seen at Ashton Gate this season. Glenn Riley, unlucky with a shot, which brought out the very best in Chamberlain. Tom Ritchie played a real blinder, and he proved you don't need young legs to create panic in the opposition's defence. He and Pritchard opened up Colchester's clam-like defence, Ritchie getting the final touch. Well, just 60 seconds later, City made it 3-0. Kenny Stroud's ball provided Ritchie with a chance to blast. Chamberlain could only see the ball ricochet onto Riley's boot. 3-0 to City. Well, Chamberlain was soon to be in trouble again, this time when he was stranded some 25 yards off his line. Riley tries the first shot. The City couldn't believe their eyes as the ball cannons off the side netting. Well, Colchester scored a consolation goal when Wignall rose high to a free kick down the far corner of the net. And with 9 minutes to go, City wrapped it all up from a corner. It was a Pritchard shot come past, found the sliding Riley on the far post, making it 4-1, an impressive win. And if ever a player wanted to be booked, it was to be Northampton's Austin Hayes. Quite clearly prefers kicking people to the ball. I'm glad to say referee Mr. Keith Cooper agreed. And when Hayes raised his foot in what was considered a dangerous tackle moments later, Mr. Cooper had the final word. And you don't have to lip read to understand what he's about to say. We're down to 10 men and City took the lead when Riley sent in a spectacular overhead kick. There to meet it, Alan Crawford to bundle it into the back of the net. And Crawford was at his best moment later, but this time the ball just being headed over the bar. Peter Glazier pulled off a spectacular save to keep Crawford off the score sheet in the very next move. And City can consider themselves unlucky with this penalty. The tackle by Stroud on Muir was quite clearly feet outside the area. Anyway, awarded it was, Tommy O'Neill making it 1-1. Into the second half, and Newman's tackle on Forster found Morgan. He set up Crawford to found the net. John Shaw about to prove he's only human, as manager Terry Cooper must have stopped breathing. Up the game swung City's way in the 83rd minute when Riley beat the offside chap to score his 18th goal of the season. And the glitter on the top of the cake came in the 86th minute when Mundy tripped Pritchard in the box. Penalty. And up to take it, Tom Ritchie scoring from the spot. City winner by 4-1. And they're ready now for that important game against Crewe at Ashton Gate tomorrow night. Well, City showed some pretty classy footwork against the railwaymen from Crewe. This became evident when fullback Paul Stevens connected onto a cheeky back heel from Crawford in the 14th minute. Perhaps he hit the ball too well. And it was gratifying to see referee Mr. Eddie Scales awarding a free kick to Bristol when Pritchard was obstructed in one of those typical corner post standoffs. And it was from that free kick that Crewe's defence came under such sustained pressure that a goal was inevitable. And it was to be the part-time footballer come geography student Martin Hurst, not the greatest shot in the world, even he'd admit that, who connected on the edge of the penalty area to score his first league goal of the season. And it was just 2 minutes later that Morgan on the left touched on to Crawford, who found Pritchard, who very cleverly slots the ball home to make it 2-0 to City. Crewe goalkeeper Stuart Naylor certainly proved he's brave when just before half-time Crawford tried to bundle the ball home. But moving into the second period, and Crewe produced a fighting flourish which saw Ian Bishop's precision through ball find Mark Leonard, who hammered it past John Shaw to silence the crowd. And Tom Ritchie was to be unlucky minutes later when a Hurst centre found the City captain free in the box, but his shot sailed just wide. Ashton Gate echoed to 8,000 voices, "We're going up."
Clive Middlers think we've tried to build a team to do reasonably in the third division. We think we've got good quality players, and we would like to add to the squad we've got. So there'll not be a lot of changes. It's just probably a couple out and a couple in. Another thing that pleases me, we've got out of the fourth playing football, and I think that'll stand us in good stead for next year as well. So I'm optimistic already of being okay next year.
Last Saturday, City virtually clinched promotion with a well-taken Pritchard goal against Swindon Town, one of 70 scored by City this season, culminating with that 2-1 victory at Chester yesterday. City's supporters have been incredible. Over 190,000 have watched home games this season, making them the envy of most second and third division clubs. Support like that swells club coffers, so City will go into their new division where they have the financial stability to remain there.